Hey, what's up, y'all? This is, just adjust that, there we go. What's up, y'all? This is Corporal Church and, Operation Defender. So, for this video, in the past, we talked about doing all these kinds of, military stuff and knowledge, and I mentioned we cover, police and try to acknowledge folks on, rights and all kinds of goodness. And so as a result of all of that, if you are interested, make sure you click like and or subscribe. If you're wondering what I'm doing right now, normally I make my wife pancakes and bacon and stuff on weekends, and so that's what I'm doing, and when this idea kind of came across. So anyways, back to the main deal of the video. So I had an idea to try and do something like this week on Facebook, or something where when I was just scrolling through Facebook, as y'all like to do to kill time or whatever, maybe I found some interesting news articles or something. I was like, oh, this would be kind of fun to maybe do and mention. And I came across a gem on my time feed of police seeming to abuse their power, perhaps conduct Fourth Amendment violations. I believe that's the amendment that has to do with search and seizure. And I was like, you know what, this could be kind of a good reaction video kind of a thing to do for y'all. This came up really recently, before I was getting ready to do all of this stuff, which is why I'm cooking while talking. And also I figured it'd help to be a little more interesting than sitting there staring and talking to all of you guys. So watch the video. It'll be popping up here real quick on your screen, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
I can keep recording you.
Turn it off and take a jail.
What is the law?
It's the metal.
What are you arresting me for? I'm sitting here in my car. I'm just recording in case anything happens. So I'm driving Uber, and my passenger's getting arrested.
Hey, Bob, turn that off, okay?
No, I'll keep recording. Thank you. It's my right.
Don't record me. You got me?
I will look. You're a police officer on duty. I can record you. And if you come to the side of the vehicle, I can keep recording you.
Turn it off.
I can keep recording you.
Turn it off and take a jail.
For recording you, I'm sitting in my car holding my phone. What is the law?
It's the metal.
What are you arresting me for? I'm sitting here in my car. I'm just recording in case anything happens. I'm surrounded by 5 police officers.
You're being a jerk.
I'm scared right now. I'm not being a jerk. I'm recording it in case anything happens.
So you better hope you don't find something in your car, okay?
They're not searching my car
Well, I'm
because
gonna search your car.
you're not searching my car.
Search your roll canine this way.
Bring the canines. I don't care, man. I know my rights.
I hope so. I know what the law is.
I know the law. I'm an attorney, so I would hope I know the law.
And an Uber driver?
And here, man.
And an Uber driver.
You want my bar card? Sir, can you tell me what this new law is that I'm not allowed to record?
I'm sorry?
He said that there's a law I'm not allowed to record the police. I just wanted to know what that new law is.
So you said you were an attorney, correct?
I am. I've never heard of this law that you're not allowed to record the police anymore. It must be brand new.
Okay, well they just recently passed it, so.
Super recently? Seems like a strange law.
Are these his?
You from the area?
Probably. They're not mine. I have nothing in my car. There's no drugs. There's no alcohol.
I didn't say you did.
Well, the other officer told me he's taking me to jail, so.
Did I say that?
No, your friend said that.
My friend?
I
You
assume
mean the sergeant?
the sergeant, your friend, somebody.
This yours or his?
Probably his. Nothing that's in here is mine. That's sitting right there.
Mr. Bright.
Yes.
How long have you been an Uber driver?
Mr. St. Pierre. A year and a half? 2 years,
Okay.
maybe?
Have you been stopped a lot? It's probably why you've been stopped, because you're an Uber driver, right? Because there's a lot of history on the vehicle.
On this vehicle, there's history?
Yeah.
Not that I know of.
Okay. All right. Well, here's your license. We're going to wait for K9, because I don't know if he might have dumped something on the seat. You don't want us to look. So we're just going to have K9 come out and smell. And if they do an indication, if not, then you'll be on your way, okay?
Okay. I mean, if he threw something under the seat, it still has nothing to do with me.
Okay, but it's in your car. I'm not saying it has anything to do with you, sir. I've never said that, did I?
No,
I asked you a
I
simple
feel like
question.
someone's going to be under the car and you're going to say, I'm the driver, it's my vehicle, I'm responsible.
Negative, sir. I've never said that to you.
Okay.
Okay?
Can you understand my frustration? I'm just
Sure I
at
do.
work.
I should.
I
I absolutely do.
All
Here's
right.
your registration. Just hold on a minute, okay?
Thanks, man.
All right.
Alright, so it's pretty bizarre. This kicks off with this guy getting pulled over, but I suppose before we talk too much or harp too much on anybody for anything, probably gotta address the fact there's a couple of things that we would ideally know before passing too harsh of judgments. One of them would be, why did they pull this guy over? Like, was he speeding? Did he run a red light? Or was it just kind of like they recognized the license plate, ran it through a system, and like, oh no, this belonged to some dude in the past? Because at the end of the video, they talked about how this car had a lot of history. And they're like, you must have been pulled over all the time as an Uber, right? Because like, this car's got a lot of history. And from what I could gather from the bits and pieces, it sounded an awful like perhaps this guy bought the car at a used car lot or something like that. And the guy that used to own the car this attorney was driving was owned by someone who apparently must have had a lot of run-ins with the law. Because that's what I'm figuring. The car that he bought used to be owned by somebody that was perhaps nefariously doing things. So I guess maybe that could be enough reason to want to stop. I would assume, from what I know, my limited part of the law, and if you got anyone that knows more than me, or maybe I'm wrong, let me know down below. You can't really just stop and search a car based on someone else who owned it unless you have a warrant, because then it's a whole other case because someone else has the car, and so it's not the same, because like the cause from the person that owned the car, that person's not around, so you don't have that same level of probable cause. And maybe there happens to be a cop watching this, whether it's to be like, oh, I'm bad because you're saying the cops maybe made some mistakes, or whatever your reason might be. Let me know, because if I am wrong, I would love to know it, because then I can educate all of y'all and then know more of my own rights. So that we know when they start off this whole video, the first thing that we see are cops being like, hey man, stop recording, like you can't. And this attorney, I don't know his name, that's not shared with the video that I was able to gather. It's like why? Like, no, it's not illegal. Which it isn't. It's not illegal to record people doing things in a public area, much less your own property. And unless his state has a different law or something like that, usually a car is considered like an extension almost of your house. So like it's your own property, so when you're inside your car, it's like you're inside your house. And I'm not completely sure all the legal lingo that perhaps goes with all of that. And so again, if I'm wrong, please let me know. This is just stuff, I kind of like remember from when I was interning with police departments and going through school. Like you can't just, and then I would look stuff up too for gun laws, because I happen to own various firearms, and sometimes I drive to go home, and so I would just be like, hey, let's see from where I'm at to going home, like, is it illegal to have a firearm in my car, depending upon the state I'm in? And that's why I came to find was a house, or a car is kind of like an extension of your house. So even if it did happen to be illegal to just record people in public, which it isn't, he can totally do it when it's inside of his own property. So there's nothing illegal about it. And I'm also kind of just curious, like if you're gonna be that mad about someone, I guess recording you, hang on. Like, what are you planning to do? Like, I was an armed guard, not the same as a cop, definitely not. So I'm not trying to be like it's a tick for tat, like the exact same thing. But when I was an armed guard, like, I didn't care if people were recording, because we would handle situations. I sometimes had people pull knives, we dealt around drugs and all kinds of stuff, and every once in a while someone would try to be like, well, I'm recording you. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not doing anything wrong, so like, you want to record and have proof that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, go for it. So it's really weird to me that these cops would care so much. Now, it's worth noting, they're probably annoyed by it. Like, I would imagine with today's culture, a lot of folks pull out their phones and start recording, and people probably try to use it as, oh, you gotta leave me alone, I'm recording you, I got you now, copper. I got you now, copper. And so maybe it's just they're really annoyed, and that's why they were telling them to stop. But since we don't know all that outside information, like why was he pulled over, and why were there also like 6 cops there? All right, that's another thing. Like, all right, so usually when someone gets pulled over for something like speeding or running a light, it's not necessarily going to be more than 2 cops, because someone does, they put on their lights, they pull you over, you get stopped, and then they probably radio like, hey, it's a dispatch, I'm doing whatever, and they'll have someone come and back you up for like the just in case scenario, because unfortunately sometimes officers get shot at, because there's also the chance that that person that's pulled over is maybe a wanted felon, and they don't want to deal with having the officers find out, so they would rather either shoot or fight or whatever. And so usually there's 2 officers that get to a scene eventually. At one point at the beginning of the video, the attorney guy said there was 5. In my experience, not saying it's like the end all be all, you don't have 5 officers show up unless it was like an insane amount of speeding. You have good reason to believe perhaps the person's high or drunk. And so I suppose if they had run the license plates before pulling this person over, they might have found all the history, and then depending upon that person's history that owned the car before this lawyer, it would maybe make sense to have a bunch of people show up. But again, we don't know exactly what the history was, so we're drawing a lot of blanks. So that's something I think we should make sure we are aware of, instead of just assuming everything's being done wrong, because there's a lot of factors that play in to how you handle a situation that we don't even know about for sure. We're just kind of speculating and making educated guesses on. And anyway, so they're going like, hey, it's illegal to record, like you can't do that, which again, not illegal to record. And then they start talking about bringing in the canines and searching this dude's car. I'm pretty sure that's a 4th Amendment violation. I really hope, I don't have to double check this, and if I'm wrong, I'll make sure I pin the message. I'm pretty sure it's the 4th Amendment that deals with search and seizure, which is basically, unless you have probable cause, and then what defines probable cause is a whole other thing, or if you have a warrant, you can't go searching through someone's house. It's the reason, like, when you're in your apartment or you're at home, an officer cannot just barge into your home unless there's some sort of an emergency happening that would deem it necessary for an officer to enter, or maybe some other emergency personnel to enter without your express permission. Such as when I was an armed guard, if we had a bunch of smoke, like a fire was going on, which would sometimes happen, and we knew someone was in the room, we're knocking, no one's answering, and we have pretty good reason to believe, hey, they're probably unconscious. We were allowed by the property manager to get a key to go in and make sure everyone was out of the room. Otherwise, like, we couldn't do it. Like, if we knew someone was in there and they're talking to us, and we're like, yeah, you can't come in, and like, we couldn't go in. And the Denver police officers operate in the same fashion. So that's kind of my backup with this whole. So like, why are they trying to enter and search this dude's car with canines? Well, I'm guessing canines, they don't have to necessarily smell inside the car, so they could probably have the canines going around on the outside, and they're probably just fishing, really hoping that the canines pick up something, because maybe if the canines start reacting in a way that lets the officers know, hey, there's drugs, or I can't imagine why else canines would be used with the car, but there's drugs in there, we can now search because we got probable cause, which sounds like fishing for a reason to do something. Like, you're probably not supposed to actually be doing whatever it is you're trying to do, but you're like, hey, if I bring in this extra thing and we try to just go like right up to the edge of not being illegal, maybe we can make what we want to do legal. Which just seems weird. It seems weird to me. And I would like to point out with car stuff, so I was applying to be a cop for a while. And one city asked me a question. They said, so if you pulled over somebody for a speeding ticket, it's something really minor, like the minor traffic stops, like speeding ticket, run a stoplight, something like that, and that's the only reason you pulled them over, like you didn't suspect drug use, like an OWI or something, would you eventually smash the window? Because in this scenario, you pulled the person over for the minor stop, and they rolled their window up, so that way they didn't have to talk to you, you couldn't like get their information from them, it was kind of like shutting you out of their home, basically. And they're like, wow, would you smash the window? I said, well, not at first. That seems like, I say, why? I says, because we have to pay for it. Like, we smashed the window over a minor traffic stop. First of all, that looks absolutely terrible to anyone that sees what we're doing. Like, police officers, we're all under, and I shouldn't say we, but at the time I was like, because I felt like I was trying to be a part of the community, so I was like, we are all under this like blanket of basically people assuming we're always up to no good. So one way we can avoid that is by being transparent and by not going over the top unless we absolutely have to. And then they kept pushing the scenario anyways, and eventually, like, well, I mean, I suppose you could get fired or maybe call like a locksmith or something, I guess, if you're that desperate to get a speeding ticket out. But unless like we had some really pressing other emergency, I can't see why it'd be impossible for me to be like, fine, then I guess we can either wait here all day because you probably must have something you have to do until you give me your information so we can progress, or we can just sit here and wait. And then if something came up, like how big of a deal, is like something like minor, like a small speeding ticket or running a stoplight, and then like, well, since you refuse to cooperate, I've got your license plate information. We're going to treat this as like a warning, and if something happens again, we might have more extreme consequences because of what happened today. That was kind of like my go-to, because I figured you smash the window, someone's got to pay for the window, right? It could either be the city or the citizen, and then if it's the citizen, they'll definitely be more pissed off. Anyway, so like this whole weird thing about trying to search the guy's car, I think they mentioned something about trying to get a look in his trunk. There's just a lot of weird stuff about searching this guy's car that all to me seemed really shady, which I suppose falls back to, again, we don't necessarily know why they stopped the car, or that background when they talked about the car having a lot of history, what that history was, and maybe that history would constitute enough probable cause to do something. But based off the information we have so far, this looks pretty bad, right? All right, and then to wrap this whole deal up, those cops were just being jerks. Like, the guy's like, oh, you're an attorney, why you have, sure, and you're an Uber driver? Yeah, no Uber driver, no attorney ever has tried to make extra money, because public defense attorneys are definitely one of the best paid professions out there when you start off. They're definitely not lower than cops. Or no, defense attorney, the attorneys that work for city government get paid pretty garbage, which is part of why when I was thinking about trying to go to law school, like I did the LSAT and everything, I didn't get a good enough score to go to a tier 1 school without having to pay through the tooth to get it. And so the best advice I ever got was don't go to law school if you can't go to a tier 1 school because of how tight the jobs are. So odds are, there's a decent chance, due to this guy's age, that he's a city attorney, or he might be like really low down on the tier at whatever law firm he's at. Like, you have to work your way up. Being a lawyer is really competitive. So like, it's not that surprising to me that an attorney would possibly be trying to get some extra cash in. But I just flipped that pancake really badly. Oh well. Trying to get some extra cash in by doing it, by running Uber. Like, for all we know, this guy just does it like 1 or 2 afternoons or evenings a week. Maybe he just does it Saturdays. Who knows? I doubt it's like a full-time other thing because of how busy attorneys have to be. That was just a really dick move. To be like, you're an attorney. Well, why are you an Uber driver? Ridiculous. They're just being jerks. Like, you don't make situations better by being a jerk and escalating. Like, I'm not sure how people haven't figured this out. Why? So when I was working on armed guard at this one place for the Car Out Coalition of the Homeless, they have, because they have an agreement set up with the state or the city or some combination of the two, they're kind of like testing out to say, hey, if we provide a safe house, we don't really focus too much about what people are doing when they are in here as far as like drugs and drinking way too much goes. But the goal of it is to save the taxpayer money by keeping folks out of jail and trying to reduce 911 calls. And so like, first night I had this guy, he just got back out of prison, and he was high off of his skull. He had some chick over in his apartment. He didn't want her to be there anymore. She was hating him. They were threatening to like kill each other, and he was telling me like, oh, I'm gonna get my gang all up in here. We're gonna pop a cap in her ass. Like, that's like the stuff this dude was telling me. And that might sound racist, but he was white. So there you go. This is a white dude that was like trying to be like, I'm gonna get my mama's gang and all kinds of stuff. And like, he locked me into his room and was like throwing stuff all over the place. You know what? I talked him out of it. So like, surely if little old me with very minimal formal training can just wing and stay cool under the pressure of a gang dude like throwing kitchen knives across the room and basically anything else because he's really angry and talking about calling up his gang to come and find this girl and teach her a lesson or whatever. Surely an officer can be nice and polite to a dude who, from what we could see from the video, was being nice. Again, that's something else that we don't know. The attorney could have been an absolute jerk until he decided to start recording, but we have no proof of that. I'm inclined to believe this attorney wasn't a jerk until he started recording due to his mannerisms and how he was acting with the officers in the video and the fact they weren't hauling him out of the car. But that's just me. So like, guys, you gotta know your rights. So like, if you get pulled over for something, you don't actually have to roll your window down. And this goes back to that question I was asked about, would you smash someone's window? Because I got home, I was like, man, that interview went really badly, and it did. Like, I was done after that point. They wanted me to shoot someone in the back later on too, which I thought was really messed up and weird. But so I get back and hop on Google. I think, can a cop smash a window for, I think I said for running a stoplight, just to give a really specific minor example, because speeding's pretty broad. And it came back, apparently you can smash a window for a small minor traffic ticket. So I guess, guys, if you get stopped, I suppose just cooperate. But they also gotta know that they can't search your car without having probable cause. So like, if they pull you over, they need to tell you like what they pulled you over for. And if they want to search your car, then they need to be able to either show you a warrant or tell you exactly why. And it's probably got to be something way more specific than because the last guy who owned it had a history, or because that car has a history. If I remember how law works correctly, if that particular owner, it's like a different case. So like that's why when you go to court, you get so many, like if you were to, say you're accused of murdering somebody, you might get charged with like 30 different counts of something. Like, it could be like 5 counts of murder in the 2nd degree, intentional manslaughter, resisting arrest, because like, each incident is a different thing, and so they're hoping something sticks, because they know not every charge will stick, but the more charges they put against you, the more odds there are of more things sticking. So hopefully that makes sense. And so that's kind of my whole theory with this, like, searching like your car, and why just because the person before you owned it doesn't mean they can search you. You get what I'm saying? I think that doesn't necessarily give them the clearance right away, in my mind, and from what I know, to just search your car. So I don't know. Hopefully this video was a little entertaining for y'all. If you do think you would like to see something where maybe I just hop on Facebook, I have some articles saved, and I just go through and I'm like, oh look, this is what the coronavirus, oh, there's the video, the coronavirus is doing today.